in a perfect world, I would want games to be complete when they release. I understand that the reality is that that's not going to happen as much anymore. I've gotten very accustomed to the idea that when a game comes out, it is in alpha. So, Alex, it's been a very newsy episode. I get that.
Has been.
Yeah.
But a little bit of news.
Little bit of news. And this next one is kind of based on something newsy. But as you probably know, Cyberpunk 2077, a game that we have both played, has come out with essentially a 2.0, as they are calling it, version, and in lead up to the new big DLC that they put out. And something that a lot of people might not have known about is that even though there is a paid DLC, there was also going to be a big revamp to the base game that was going to happen. And I've seen some people play it, and I can see the new things. They've like redone the whole skill system. They've done a big, they've changed around like the Ripper Doc thing entirely, so that it's about like capacity overall that you can put your different mods into. There's more of a differentiation between your cosmetics and your actual abilities and stuff like that. And the AI, they've vastly increased and improved the AI and made it more aggressive and smarter.
That's good. Oh, aggressive maybe not be good, but smarter is good because, some of those enemies were just rather easy to kill.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's smarter overall because they will actually hide and do the things that you'd expect them to do in a firefight. But like they were, I was watching Luke Stevens was showing that like in the police, like they have more of a rating system similar to GTA, and once you get up to like 5 stars or something, they just uber kill you very quickly if you don't.
Do they send in the elite team they show you in the game?
It's pretty, it's pretty bad. Also, you can like shoot from cars now, which is pretty cool. You can like shoot guns.
Drive by.
Yeah, you can
bang. You
can even get like tanks and stuff and shoot from the armored tank. That's like, ooh, that's pretty fun. But at any rate, so big changes, but something that I thought was very interesting was Luke Stevens was talking about it, and it has been sort of touted as the complete version of the game. Like if Cyberpunk were to have released in this state, or released now in this state, it would have been considered really a complete game because it definitely felt unfinished when it originally came out in 2020. And I guess the question that I had for you is, when do we consider a game complete?
Well, in my mind, complete means this is everything that the game plans to be.
Right. I can even see where there might be DLC for it, but I consider that a game has to be a complete experience in its entirety. Like my ideal thought of even DLC or additional content is a separate story that is not part of the main game. That can be completely separated out. It's one of the reasons why back in Fallout 3, there were some of those DLCs that were separate experiences, like the Pit or Mothership Zeta. But then they had Broken Steel, and part of Broken Steel was practically just fixing the ending of Fallout 3. So there was a big issue there where it's it made it feel like the game really wasn't complete in its entirety, and then they had to come out with a DLC that would actually fix that. So not as big a fan of that. Cyberpunk, though, I'll eventually play it, and it will probably be very good that they made those changes. But I get a little wary of the idea of games being hailed as finally complete 3 years after they come out.
Yeah. Good news, when you actually bought it, that was called Early Access.
Yeah, good. This is why Early Access is a thing. They did not tout Cyberpunk as an Early Access game. That was...
Probably should have.
Probably should have. I think that would...
Considering what they went through when it came out, they should have.
I think people expected more from CD Projekt Red to release a game in a fully formed state.
Yeah, but from their past, we know they don't. So,
yeah,
anyways.
it's true. I don't know. When Witcher 3 came out, it was basically complete out of the gate. I mean, they did some more stuff afterward with some individual storylines, but I think people expected something of that degree of polish out of the game, out of the gate. But at any rate, I think it is very difficult to say that a game is truly complete, especially when new content and modification and everything goes on with games, especially in the age of early access, and games that are live services. And then, we've talked about it on the show before, but like a World of Warcraft, you've played it before. I don't know if you will ever really be able to say that a World of Warcraft is so-called complete.
Till they make a World of Warcraft 2?
Right. Yeah.
You could say like maybe World of Warcraft Classic could be completed if they stop at a certain point.
Sure.
But even then, where I think we've briefly talked about how there's rumors that the next expansion for WoW will be a revamp.
Yeah.
Even then, it's like it's not going to be a WoW 2. It's just going to be like taking the old school stuff and bringing it into the 2020 era.
Sure. Sure.
But I wouldn't ever be able to say that story is complete. There's no definitive end to a game that needs to be ongoing and evergreen.
Right. Did you think there was ever a time with like MMOs similar to WoW where the game might have at the time felt like a complete experience, but then they just added more stuff onto it?
I don't think so.
I guess, do I even want a game to be necessarily complete? Like if you gave me a game and you said, this is it, this is the entire experience throughout its entirety, and I really liked it, would I want more out of it? I don't know.
Maybe something new, but I don't know that you'd want more of the same.
You're right. I wouldn't want more of the same.
Yeah.
I think it's a really weird phenomenon of trying to say that a game is finally complete. In a perfect world, I would want games to be complete when they release. I understand that the reality is that that's not going to happen as much anymore. I've gotten very accustomed to the idea that when a game comes out, it is in alpha. Like, even if it's been sold on shelves, it is essentially in alpha, and that you expect that it is going to take a while for it to complete. If Cyberpunk is any indication, you have about a 3-year gestation period after it has come out before you can say that. But I don't know if that's going to work in the end for game studios. The reason I say that is because so much of what you're going to be showing investors is your initial sales. And if we condition the gaming populace at large to say that the game isn't really going to be complete for 2 or 3 years, then how many are going to just buy it out of the gate instead of waiting to buy it, 2 years from now when the game is actually complete? It's not going to go up in price. The games never increase in price, so you might as well just wait till it's actually a complete experience to the point where people can say that it is. And that's not going to look good on bottom lines, and especially if you're part of Embracer Group, it's going to be a problem. I think it's just an interesting concept about games that are already released finally being complete at a certain point, and whether it is. Because then with like the DLC that they put out and possibly more updates into the future, will we consider that to be complete? I think that it's more that Luke at that point and some of the other people that are talking about it are considering it as an experience into itself being complete, which I get. Like, I can accept that, like, Baldur's Gate 3 will probably have a lot of DLC and content.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, but I still think that as it stands, most people would consider it a complete game because it does have a beginning, a middle, and an end that makes sense for the most part. And that it has characters that are fleshed out and everything like that. So, I guess we would consider that to be complete. And the DLC would be good, but icing on a cake. The cake is already baked. We've baked the cake. The gaming cake.
We're selling you the cake without the icing, and the icing comes later for extra.
That's right. We put the cherries on top, but the cherries are not something that's required to be a complete experience. We can go with or without the cherries, but they are a complete experience. Confession, I am happy that they kept working on Cyberpunk, because when I played it a year after its release, I really liked it. I think it's a great RPG. I really do. And frankly, on my system, it probably looks better than Starfield with the system requirements, especially now, because they've been able to, optimize it even more, and runs really well. I am very impressed with what they did. I just wish that it was like that when it first came out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it would have gotten so much better press and so many better reviews. I guess I would ask, like, what do people consider to be a complete game? When is a game complete? When is it baked? When is the gaming cake baked? And when can you take it out? When does it get the fork test? Can you optimize that? I don't know. But if you have an idea on when you would consider a game to be complete by your standards, please let us know in the comments down below.